Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 1971's The Sex Adventure of the Three Musketeers. And that's actually translated from the German that I cannot pronounce, but there it is right there. I don't want to butcher it. But this the Sex Adventure of the Three Musketeers, with just this amazing artwork on the cover here. And this is part of, well, it doesn't say it on the case, but it actually says it on the menu screen, part of the Ingrid Steiger collection. And I've looked at a bunch of her films on this YouTube page already. And this is an Erwin C. Dietrich film right here. And Erwin C. Dietrich, as you know, produced many Jess Franco films, or a group of Jess Franco films, which I've looked at on this YouTube page. Some amazing ones like, oh gosh, Girls in Night Traffic and all of that. You can find it all on here. And of course, Erwin C. Dietrich also directed his own films as well. Now, there is a name in the director's spot of this film, but I believe it's a pseudonym for Erwin C. Dietrich. But his name is on it though for producing it, it seems. So I can't show you the pictures on the back because there is some nudity on them, but this is part of Ascot Elite Home Entertainment Group, which puts out tons of the Erwin C. Dietrich films, as well as the Erwin C. Dietrich produced Jess Franco films. These were your primary ways of getting them, especially before, I believe, Full Moon put out a bunch of Jess Franco films, that, like a bunch of DVDs that make his face when you put them next to each other. But these are Blu-rays, and I have to tell you, all of these Blu-rays are just incredible, and they're extremely hard to get. I had to get all of these off of diabolicdvd.com. Because this one in particular took months to come in the mail. No pun intended. But anyway, so we're going to get into this film here. And this is an 82-minute film, The Sex Adventure of the Three Musketeers. And Ingrid Steiger is, of course, in it. And she's the girl right here. If you're not familiar with Ingrid Steiger, an amazingly just this awesome sexploitation, erotic queen of these German sex films. And you know, if you're really an avid fan of her, you can see her pop up in a large variety of products. I believe she also might have just been a model as well. Just awesome, just young German hot look to her. And if you like breasts, you'll probably love hers as well. She was in a film also named Groupie, which I've also looked at on this YouTube page, German production again. And let's get into this film. Now, if you're familiar at all with the... Oh my gosh. Wow. That was amazing. Oh my gosh. Things are dropping everywhere. And guess what, folks? I'm keeping this all in here. This is amazing. Awesome, awesome stuff. Okay, if you're familiar with the Three Musketeer films, what the heck just happened? Wait a minute. Okay. All right, good. If you're familiar at all with the Three Musketeer films, you will note that, you know, it's a bunch of travelers. You know what? Let's be honest. I don't watch any Three Musketeers, anything. None of it interests me. These, to me, just kind of like... just doesn't interest me. It's not a genre of film that I like. Now, when you have sex in that world, now that's going to pique my interest a little bit more. When you have the erotic, it's going to pique my interest much more. This is essentially a softcore simulated film, but would probably get an NC-17 rating today because it exists. It's a little bit nebulous in between the soft, a little bit harder than soft, but it's not. I mean, you might see some... you see a lot of vagina, of course, but you see a little bit of penis. You might even see a little bit of erect penis, and you might see a little bit of butthole from a guy. Stuff like that. Taint, I mean, maybe taint is what I mean for a guy. But anyway, if you pause it, maybe butthole. So the Sex Adventure of the Three Musketeers is so interesting because it's... when the movie starts off, you're really wondering what exactly am where's this film going? It almost seems like two separate films, because you have the story that is, we're in his head of the narration of this younger, you know, kind of nubile boy who is a virgin, who's extremely ignorant of all things sexual. As a matter of fact, whenever he gets an erection, he thinks it's supposed to be used as a slingshot for acorns. I kid you not. And so you have his story, and all the girls are completely in love with him. But then you have another story of actually these three musketeers telling stories. And then the two shall meet. We got to start off by talking about the lush cinematography and the beauty of this film. Now, for a lot of Erwin C. Dietrich productions, it was not uncommon. We have the Baumgartner family, Walter, and I'm blanking on the other name right now. I'm trying to look on the back, but the Baumgartners, with cinematography and also score composition. I believe it was an uncle and a nephew, as I've mentioned in previous videos. So forgive me for forgetting the other Baumgartner, but the cinematography is lush. It's incredible. It seems like we have some stock footage at times, but it doesn't even matter. Just in little small intervals, but even the stock footage is beautiful. And 98% of this film is outside in the lush, beautiful nature and greenery, and oh, the lily pads and the ponds and the trees and the grass blowing in the wind and the flowers budding. I mean, it is lush. It's beautiful. You can take snapshots of just the scenes in here. And what is so interesting about the emphasis on the nature of this film, the wild nature, of course, this is supposed to be a period piece, okay, is that the film deals in a comical sense at times with the sexuality of nature, especially at the beginning of the film. The shape of a tree looking like a penis, or a hard penis, or the flowers looking like clitorises or vaginas, and the sexuality of nature, to a comic effect and also to just a reality effect in this sexploitation cinematic world. And when we look at the music, okay, the sexuality of nature, okay, you know, even going beyond saying, oh, that flower looks like a vagina, you know, really entering into that world, and the sex taking place outside, also moving nature as the bodies move and gyrate and hump and lick and suck. So, and rub and squeeze. So, when we look at the sound design, of course, is going to be lush with nature. Birds chirping, water running, wind blowing. I mean, if you had a problem with sleep, you could almost put this movie on and just the audio, and you'd feel like you were in a paradise. I mean, it seems warm outside, although their breath, you can see their breath, so it wasn't warm. But it also seems like fall a bit. With the leaves, it's just amazing. But for some reason, I just got like that summer vibe, which just links with the free love and the sexuality of nature, the sexuality of humanity, the sexuality of everything that the film is just breeding. And musically, we have, you know, that kind of that period piece music of wind instruments and violins. That reminded me, you know, glockenspiels that you would hear in Donald Rubinstein's soundtrack to George Romero's Night Riders, okay? You know, that kind of vibe. You also have classical music, and then all of a sudden, you get when you think you're only in that world with the soundtrack, all of a sudden you get punched with some playful, light 70s jazz. And then getting into a little bit of like 70s funky, sexy, jazzy, groovy stuff. And then some acoustic guitar, mysterious, exploitation-y sounding, lush, sexy, sleazy, jazzy, groovy, funky music. And so you have those worlds all colliding in here, also with church music. Now, what's so interesting about this film also is that it's not an anthology film, but it could act like an anthology film. When I mentioned to you at the beginning of this video, it's like two separate films, and then you're not exactly sure how they're connecting. And you're even getting stories told by some of the characters, which is introducing other elements to the film, to a comical effect. And yes, there is sexual humor in here. There is a bit of black humor in here involving the you know, with even death, killing somebody. But it by no means is just like a sex comedy. It also has dramatic elements, romantic elements, and just sexy elements, you know. It's a very, very complex film. Now, there's an element of the film where all of a sudden you feel like there's love that's about to happen between these two people, and it fades. It fades away as the character fades away. There's amazing distance shots in this film as well, by the way, folks. Amazing distant shots as well. And you never return to that relationship. And it's so interesting. It's a road movie without a road, without cars, but with horses and bonfires and a different parade of characters. We deal with age in the film. We deal with the smooth skin of the youth and the older men, and all, you know, all they think about is food instead of sex, and they're big, and you know, they got big guts. And the older women are looked at as almost like witches who are trying to get at their younger men when the younger women want the younger men. And it's a very, very interesting world with age as well. What's amazing is that the lead character is this younger guy who I would say, if you like guys, you're probably going to be attracted to him. Especially youthful-looking, nubile type guys, and he trying to find that hair. There it is. Got it. All right. So you get some self-narration from him, right? And it's just this amazing world of a coming of age with a guy. You don't typically see that. You typically see coming-of-age films with girls, but it's a coming-of-age film with a guy. The guy's a virgin. The guy's inexperienced. The guy looks at his penis as you know, just a tool to fling acorns. And it's the girls who are all experienced. And the girls are the ones who are throwing themselves at the virgin guy trying to break his virginity. And the story comes full circle as you watch the film. Now, the interesting thing is that you get to really see the coming of age with this character as he experiences sex for the first time, doesn't even know what it is, doesn't even relate to his penis in that way. And then he starts to learn, and then he starts to evolve sexually and become very much in tune with his body. And then also experiences some darkness involving his sexual adventures and all the different women that he meets, and one in particular he's discovering could also show him some of the controlling aspects, the power aspects of sex. Now, in this film, we do have a pretty dark rape in here. We have S&M, some pretty wild whipping S&M. We have this one scene that's totally real of this girl's nails just ripping into the back of this guy. I mean, his back and up to his butt cheeks is just like shredded with her nails. Not to blood, but like close to it. And in the film, they mentioned 7 layers of skin. She must have gotten through about 4 or 5, believe me. And it's the sexual adventure aspect is so great, as girls are just kind of throwing themselves at him, and he's going from one girl to another girl, and then he has like a, before the phrase booty call, every night he has this brunette, and then every day he has this blonde, Ingrid Steiger, and he even mentions that the colors of their hair from night to day to summer or to sunlight, with being blonde. And all if you love German girls, you will love this film. All different shapes and sizes and ages. We have just thicker girls, skinnier girls, big boobs, small boobs, great butts in here, natural bodies. I personally love German girls, and that's why I love these German sex films, especially the Schoolgirl Report series, which I've looked at most of them. 2 more to go on this YouTube page at this moment. So you can find all the, tons of them on this page. And this film will definitely be, a cavalcade of party for your eyes and your heart in that case. So we have those elements in here, and we have dirty jokes in here, and we have a frog, a real tiny frog being put on a woman's nipple. There is some pretty wild stuff in here, stuff that I feel like I haven't seen before necessarily, and it's just what the hell did I just watch? And just some very, very hilarious, genuinely shockingly hilarious elements in this film. And there's a great bookend to it, from the beginning to the end, in terms of the way it comes full circle. And I got to say, the older woman in here has an unbelievable body. She's the redheaded one, not the one that gets raped, but the other one. And it has all the tones, it has all the elements, and the lead character is very, very believable as you are with him and in his head. And there's elements of is a woman's appetite for your sex, can it ever get to be too much? Most guys will always say, no way. The women are the ones who always say, oh, the guys. And you always hear guys say oh my gosh, I would have no problem if women wanted to rape me. Well, in this film, and you look at another film like Little Miss Innocence, which I've looked at on this YouTube page, that idea gets flirted with a little bit also in The Adventure. And it's really quite interesting. There's also a very interesting, I've never seen someone's toenails get filed and their face get shaved with steak knives. Was that the way they really did it? I don't know. So this is the sex adventure of the Three Musketeers. What an awesome, awesome movie. And this is put up by Ascot Elite Home Entertainment. It seems to be extremely rare. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 1971's The Sex Adventure of the Three Musketeers. Please feel free to check out my own personally made films and music by following me at my Vimeo site, www.vimeo.com/poopydiarrhea, POOPYDIARRHEA. Thank you so much, and good night.